Welcome back, guys, with another episode of Kicking It with Gab and Chuch.
I'm Gab.
I am Chuch, and we got our
Today-
special guest here.
Hey, you
Go ahead.
guys. I'm Mike. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here, talk some soccer, as you'll call it, or football. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, tell us about where you're from. I see you got the accent. This is our first time talking to you. Where are you from?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, originally from London, so a good spot on the accent there. I've lived in the States for about 14 years now. I live in the Bay Area. Was in Atlanta for a few years when I first moved over. Go Braves! And yeah, just been kicking it here on the West Coast and having to deal with getting up hella early to watch the boys across the pond. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I know next week's game's at 4:30. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit too early for me. At that point, it's like, do you just stay up or do you go to sleep? Well, like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I'll catch the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. What brought you over? What brought you over to the side?
I actually got married back in the day, and unfortunately, that didn't work out. But we're both happy now with our lives as they are. So that's the most important thing. And yeah, happy to be out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you.
Yes, sir.
All led to this point right here. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What made you come on the podcast? I mean, I know I put it out there because few groups, you and a couple other guys responded, but you're the only one that's here. So, I mean,
well, some of us show up, more than just our word. Word is bond. But yeah, as you say, you've made a post on one of the Chelsea groups that we're both in, and and it just sounded hella fun, and checked out the podcast, and you guys have a lot of fun with it. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's go chat to a couple of fellow football lovers and have a bit of banter and just have some fun,
That we will.
Absolutely. All right. So if you listened to our podcast recently, we like to start off with our awards. Ivan goes banger of the week. We like to do my star boy. I like the younger guys. Go ahead, Ivan. What'd you have this week? Goal of the week.
I'm going to be biased, super biased. I'm going to give it to Mikhailo Mudryk. He meant to shoot it. Wasn't a cross.
It wasn't a cross. Okay. All right.
I'm biased too, but also I'm a realist. Definitely a cross, my man. But we can agree to disagree. It's a goal is a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there one specifically you saw, Mike, that you thought was just top notch goal?
I thought that speaking of the Mudryk goal, I thought it was a great goal. It was just because of the play and the fact it surprised everybody. So even though I don't think it was intentionally a goal, still a banger. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally like the Jared Bowen goal in the West Ham game. It was a deflection, but everybody, if you listen to the podcast, I love Jared Bowen. Think he's a star. Think he's coming up. Star boy of the week, youngster. I always go Phil Foden. I always do. This week I'm gonna go Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, absolute stud. Absolutely changed the game. The fact that they let him take the pen, that's huge.
Yeah.
It looked like Raheem Sterling. He grabbed the ball right there for a second, but Enzo basically told him, let the young lad have it, and he did. And he, of course, I thought he played unreal. I thought he changed the game, and I thought he led to their victory.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on all fronts there. And I got to remember the kid's he's 21, right? Like, he's still a youngster. So to have a fresh World Cup winner in Enzo come and take the ball away from a fellow international in Sterling and say, hey, man, look, no, this kid is our guy. We trust him. Let him take it. Just, that says a lot.
Yeah. Anyone you saw, Ivan, stood out?
I'm claiming him as one of our own. He's an academy boy now. He's a Cobham legend.
That's funny. Well, yeah, since we've been talking about it, that's going to be our segment coming up. The Chelsea Arsenal ended 2-2. Bit of a surprise. Maybe not to you Chelsea fans. Bit of surprise. Bit of a surprise to me. I wanted Chelsea to win, but I really didn't expect them to. But 2-2, and they played very, very strongly against Arsenal. Arsenal looked a bit scared, looked a bit shaken, especially after the second goal. But, man, what a game. What a game for sure.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think I think most Chelsea fans would have gone into the game taking a draw out of it, but then obviously that's not how the game turned out in terms of how much Chelsea dominated, right? So I think having gone through that game, you definitely disappointment is the kind of the key feeling I took away from that. And we just had Arsenal all over the field the entire time. Like our midfield was absolutely fantastic. If you look at our fullbacks, we had Cucurella back in the side, and he absolutely dominated who he was playing, right? And he was
Pocketed him.
yeah, right.
Pocketed
He was
Saka.
Martinelli and Saka couldn't do anything against Gusto and Cucurella the whole game. The midfield trio, you've got Gallagher in there, Mudryk in there, and then of course Palmer up top. I think we just absolutely bossed the game, and so to lose out to just really a couple of moments of lack of concentration towards the end is just really frustrating.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I thought for sure they had him, especially with the Arsenal's had a bit of weakness playing out the back since they got Raya. He's not comfortable with it yet. I mean, it takes a bit of time for sure, but I mean, he was really shaken and man, I don't know what it was. I think it's just Chelsea's momentum right now that they have mixed maybe with a little bit of Arsenal, just getting used to playing with the new keeper and everything, especially the way everyone's been playing with out of the back right now with the keeper. But I don't know. Arsenal don't look as strong as they look. I mean, I didn't even think they looked strong last week when they beat City. Deflection goal, a bit unfortunate, but I do think they're looking a bit weaker these days.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. And Ivan, we'll let you into the conversation again in a second, but like this squad is supposedly title contenders, right? Like Arsenal are up there, they're pushing for the title, and so for us to dominate them so heavily, given the very, very slow kind of boil it's been for Chelsea to get to a kind of rhythm, it's definitely worrying for an Arsenal fan. I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, to add on to what you guys are saying, going into the match, I felt really confident just because, the games leading up, Chelsea looked really strong. They're starting to gel together. I think starting Cole Palmer is a must here on out. I think the way he plays, he has this charisma that he knows he's like $100 million player. Like that's the way he plays. Like I feel like he's not even playing at 100%. He's like at a 60, 70, kind of like how Hazard used to play sometimes. That's what I'm getting. I don't want to go there yet, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. Just like they're not giving it a full 100. Just that's what I'm saying with Cole Palmer. But like I think like next season, like if he's not killing it, I'd be surprised.
It's the Man City confidence he brought over, mate.
Oh, get out of here.
No.
There's a reason he left City to come to Chelsea, man. Come on now.
Playing time. It's all playing time. It's all about playing time. But either way, to counter your point a bit, seeing Cole Palmer play a lot more, I watch a lot more City. That's kind of he plays a bit slower. And it's not really necessarily like him giving not so much percent. It's just I think he sees the game a bit better that way. And he changes the tempo, especially, sometimes he's a lot more patient and calm in a closer situation. He has more composure when he's needed. But I think he's definitely changed the game. I think he's a must start. You can't not pick him to start every single week, unless he's injured at this point. But yeah, I mean, I really look forward to seeing him. Like I've always rooted for Chelsea, saying now like, every week I'm saying, let's go Chelsea a bit, it's good to see them bounce back. They were really down in despair, but this definitely, changes the game. This is for sure. You guys are back. You guys are back.
You're very kind to put it that way. We were just down in despair a little bit. We were just in complete turmoil. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We couldn't buy a win. We couldn't hit a barn door from 3 feet out. It was pretty dire. But yeah, the signs are there. I hate to say we're completely back. I still see there's a lot of room for growth. Absolutely.
Definitely.
There's still a lot of new players getting used to each other. a new coach, getting used to the players and the club and all that kind of stuff. It's incredibly difficult to do what those guys do, especially when you have the pressure of being involved at a club like Chelsea, who, have been just winning things left, right, and centre for a good part of the last 20 years. One of the biggest clubs in the world, I would say, at
It's
this point.
there.
And so there's an enormous amount of pressure there. So it feels really good to see them back on the right track. I'm gonna wait till after Christmas to really give my full assessment, though. Let's give it
Yeah,
a couple
because
more months.
the stretch of games coming up is really make or break for. I feel like to show that the money was spent well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look who we've got coming up in like the next couple of weeks, we're playing both Manchester teams and Spurs, and Newcastle, who I will talk about in a little bit. By the way, we've got to talk about Newcastle this
Yeah,
week, this week. But yeah, we've got a tough run of games, so hopefully we can build on some of that momentum and not take the Arsenal tie draw too much to heart.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a tough stretch of games for everyone coming up, but I think like of all the teams right now, the most confident. I'd be thinking positive for sure about Chelsea. Like I said, no one really thought they had a chance. I guess you could say, like none of the supporters for other teams. Just talking with Ivan all the time, he kind of has me a believer. So I
Nice,
believe, but
good job, Ivan.
but
yes,
yeah,
sir.
I mean, they have a lot of positives going into the stretch of games. But yeah, for sure, this stretch of games for every team right now is going to be huge. Leading into December. Let's go over to recap the rest of the games. We'll start off on Saturday, the 21st. We had Man United Sheffield. I thought Sheffield absolutely dominated that game. I felt like should have had the win. Just let up. They just let up. Too many missed opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, United were definitely, I'd say, very fortunate to escape that with a win. And it was such a shock, right? Because Sheffield United, bottom of the league, they lost four on a trot up to this game, and then they bossed it. So I really feel for Sheffield United, but the old saying goes, like good teams find a way to win, and
Absolutely.
that's what United did.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm still, I'm still waiting for a Sheffield win just because we have a buddy he's a big Sheffield guy. Like
Uh,
he knew about all the players. Years ago he was telling us, Sheffield, they're gonna be back in the Prem, they're gonna do this, and it's disappointing because especially because I feel like Man United's been super poor lately.
mhm.
They're scrapping by wins and draws. Like McTominay once again coming in, scoring. Like whoever scouted the guy, you should have made him a striker. I like you. I think that's what three goals in 3 weeks already.
No, he's a vital part of the squad for sure. Yeah. Gabe, your mic sounds muted. We can't hear you currently.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go.
Gotcha.
There you are, mate.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think Man United, they're barely escaping, but like Mike said, good teams find a way to win. And unfortunately, not a big Man United fan, obviously, but unfortunately, they've been finding a way to win. But we'll see next week. We'll for sure see next week. I'm looking forward to to the beatdown. Hopefully.
No
Next we
comment.
got yeah. Next we got Nottingham Forest Luton. Luton got some points, surprisingly, in my opinion. Ivan, I think you picked them to win last week. I believe
I
that's what
I
you
thought they
said.
would scrape away a win. Just because it's the same type of quality of play. Um, I don't know. I I want them to do good somewhat, but just because I like a good underdog story. But looks like they might just end up going down.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
it's if they do end up going down, which unfortunately I agree, then at least they'll go down with a bit more money in their pocket to rebuild and try again.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I have a bit of soft spot for Luton because their ground is it's less than 30 minutes away from where I grew up.
Oh wow,
So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
like, and looking at how they got kicked out of the league and they clawed their way back. Like to see Luton Town in the Premier League is pretty wild. So yeah,
That is crazy.
I
Yeah,
hope they pick up a few wins and make their fans proud. You know.
yeah. I remember
Definitely.
them. I remember like all the videos were viral once they actually got promoted. I think they had to go to the playoff to get promoted, or but they actually, like how their stadiums like literally right between houses, like in houses,
Yeah,
backyards almost. Like that's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's crazy.
Like we've always grown up in the States, me and Ivan. But I mean, so I don't really necessarily know how neighborhoods are over there in London, or not London, but the UK. But I mean, is that odd? Is that often? Is that common for
Yeah, great question. Because yes, here you have giant stadiums surrounded by 20 miles of asphalt, right, for all the tailgating.
Yeah.
But in the UK, a lot of towns, of course, everything's a lot smaller, spaces at a premium. So it's not uncommon for stadiums to literally have houses like right all around the stadium. So Luton is unique, however. Usually, you don't have to walk through somebody's house to get into the ground. But yeah, proximity to housing in the UK for football stadiums is pretty common.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely. That's good knowledge. That's good knowledge.
yeah. And I mean, the thing to remember, right, is that England itself can fit inside the state of Oregon. So our space is like
Yeah.
way more limited.
Yeah, that is crazy. We'll move on to Newcastle Crystal Palace. You said you wanted to talk a bit about Newcastle.
Yeah, great segue. So they like 4-0, right? Absolutely thumped Palace. Which, by the way, I think Roy Hodgson said this is final year managing, right? So he might be out. Hopefully, he lasts the season. Based on that score, we don't know. But Newcastle have won 4 and drawn 1 of their last 5 games. They have won 1 and drawn 1 in the Champions League, and they're absolutely on fire. Like it's really difficult to not watch Newcastle and admire the way they're playing. They've kept 6 clean sheets out of the last 10 games in all competitions. They've only conceded like 6 goals in that entire time, including games against City. And so I'm really happy for Newcastle. Like they fought so hard to come back up and then go back down, come back up. And so I'm really happy for how well they're doing currently. And this weekend was great.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of doubt in them after the first Champions League game, and then they had a little stout run,
I
Um,
think they lost to Brighton
yeah, they
and
also
Liverpool. I think back to back.
and then they
So
drew the UCL game, I think, in between those against Milan, which I thought Milan dominated, and but I think it was the next Champions League game. I'm pretty sure they won. I can't remember
Oh
who they
yeah, they
played.
yeah,
crushed PSG.
yeah,
Yeah,
they destroyed PSG.
Yeah, I think it was
yeah,
like 4-1.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I know we're going to talk about the Champions League later on, so we're not dwell too much on that right now. But in terms of the league, you're right. They lost against Liverpool, but they only lost by 1, and they were down to 10 men, and they lost the Brighton game. But it's 8 games since then that they've put on a really good run.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
to then go and thump Palace, it's Palace, I know, but it's still a Premier League team, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, got to keep an eye on Newcastle. I think they 6th in the league now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think Ivan's had some love for Palace in the past episodes. They're like one of his sleeper teams. Like if he
I
had a second team, it'd be Palace.
It's because a lot of Chelsea
Maybe.
players play there. Loftus-Cheek had a loan spell there. Gallagher had a loan spell there. Uh, Guehi, or I don't know how to pronounce it properly. He was a academy boy. He's there now
yeah,
on permanent. Um, yeah, we send a lot of players out on loan, so I would always try to watch some Palace games.
yeah. No, that's cool. And I don't mean to be insulting. I don't mean to be insulting to Palace either. I've got a good mate back home who's a huge Palace fan. If he sees this, sorry, Chris, mate. But just unfortunately, their quality of football this season has not been great.
Nah, absolutely. Olise and Eze being unavailable in some matches, and just usually last season we saw they were a bit better, but yeah, for sure, this season's been a letdown for them. But you're gonna have to send your mate the link for sure.
Yeah, I will
See
do.
it.
Yeah.
See.
I'm gonna send it to him with a caveat. Don't hate me.
Yeah.
19 minutes 37 seconds in. Please don't hate me because of that part. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll transition to next game, City Brighton. City, obviously City. They won. I knew it. I knew they were gonna win. But I thought they played well. Ansu Fati, good to see him get a goal. I've been a big fan. I grew up on Barca, so just to see him do well, has been absolutely. It's beautiful. I rooted for him when he got the loan spell, and I was a bit disappointed in the first few weeks, but he's doing good lately. He's been doing a lot good. They have some injuries at Brighton, so I think he's getting his chance right now.
No, good times. I honestly, I think that City, given the caliber, were probably also lucky to escape with the win. Like, yes, it's away, but it's a game that should have been more comfortable than it was at the end of the day.
Definitely.
But again, to sound like a stuck record, good teams find a way to win. Good teams can travel half the length of the country and play a compact stadium like Brighton's and come away with a win. And that's what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's the first game back with Rodri. I thought they looked good for sure. Like I said, did you get a chance to watch the game, Ivan? Or
Yeah, the first half I felt like City completely dominated. You know, Brighton had a lot of errors when they were building up from the back how they normally do. It led to one of the goals. But second half, City really turned off the burners. They were in cruise control. Uh, I definitely thought that Brighton could have tied the game possibly the second half, just because they had a really good first. City had a really good first half. Dominated. Holland looked good. He finally scored a goal that wasn't a tap in. And yeah, I thought after that, I thought they were gonna go on, smash him like 4 or 5-0, and didn't happen.
yeah, they definitely have the capability to do so. I feel like I see that every week. I watch them play. They get an early lead and then kind of put it in cruise control. But I saw it last season. It's just this. I mean, gradually through the season, they got obviously more aggressive. But I think it's just. I really think it's just because like where we're at in the season right now. For them, I mean, seeing like to them, Brighton, is not too huge of a competitor. To me, they're really only focused on Arsenal and Tottenham or Liverpool. But to me, for them, I just think they're playing a little bit of lackadaisical, losing to Wolves. Just it's just yeah. I mean, they just kind of didn't take it too seriously. Maybe that's what it's been. I feel like just because I mean I see these players play every week and I know they could do it. It's not like they can't. They have top quality every single position. Even their 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, they're all beasts. I mean, it's just the matter of turning it on. And then, you see Kyle Walker. He always, every time he concedes a goal, right after he's dominating play. It's like, why don't you just do that, every second? And it's easy to say because we're watching. It's different being an actual player. But still, at the end of the day, I mean, those guys can always give 110% if they really wanted to. Let's go to Brentford Burnley. For Burnley again.
Poor Burnley.
Brentford shit, I think. Absolute shit. And they still managed to dominate Burnley. I thought Burnley actually could have won this game. I think I said that last week. But yeah, I mean, Brentford has been disappointing.
Definitely. Vincent Company. He looked really good in the championship last year. But now he's in the Prem. Uh, he's not looking too good. I don't know if he makes it past December. If I'm being honest. He's a Man City legend. Gabe, how do you feel?
I don't know. I think I think it's too quick to judge a team that just gets promoted, like Luton, like Burnley. I kind of just think they need I think they need to stay in, find a way to stay in. That's the main goal, obviously. But I think if Vincent Company can somehow find a way to stay in, you always give them that second year. That second year, you get a bit more money. It's easier to build. They have a lot of youngsters that I think could be good in a few years. They're just not there yet, and they kind of have to be in the Premier League. It's the Premier League. Every week is insanely tough competition. But these guys are young. These wingers are young. They don't quite have the experience yet. But I think given a run of games, going into December, I hope that they'll get better. I know there's a guy, one of the wingers, Koleosho. They've said he's one of the worst signings. But eye test, that guy's a baller. In my opinion, eye test, watching him play, he's a baller. He's gonna score goals. I think they need to find the rhythm first.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I've got to be honest, I haven't really paid much attention to either Burnley or Brentford this season. But
Okay.
to your point, Ivan, about whether or not company lasts the season, it's like it kind of sucks that we're asking these questions so soon, but that's the nature
Mm-hmm.
of football now, right? Like there is so much money in the game that Premier League versus Championship can make or break like a club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the pressure is on so hard to succeed and perform, and so like all too often owners are making these snap decisions, and so we're literally like not even at November yet, and we're already wondering if he's going to be gone at Christmas. Which really,
Yeah.
I hate thinking that way, but it's the nature of the game these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And yeah, he is an absolute legend of the game, and so I think we all want to see our club legends succeed, right? So I hope he does well. Because I think that someone who's obviously so passionate about the game, has been so successful, and has so much knowledge and love for it is, you just want to see guys like that succeed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I hope it comes around for them. Hope they just find a way to stay in. Um, Brentford, you know, I think they could be a lot better. I think they were finished in the top half last season. I think they could be there. Obviously, they're missing their striker, which I don't think Tony will return. I know he's been playing those behind closed doors games, though. It looks like he's been scoring some goals. We'll get into this a bit later, but definitely one of the biggest transfer names so far for January. Is what I was thinking. Um, and then let's see who else. What else we got? We got
Uh,
Bournemouth. I'll go.
today, I was gonna say today's game. Today's game was really good. If you're a Spurs fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Ah,
Spurs, Harry Kane. Again, by the way, whole separate conversation about Harry Kane's decision to go and slum it in Germany. Like, please, you're joining the best team in the league. Of course, he's going to walk in 30 goals a season. But anyway, Spurs are doing, and I hate to say it as a Chelsea fan, I'm going to
Me
hate
too.
myself
Me
for the
too.
next 5 minutes, but they are doing really well without him.
They
And
are
I think the unheralded hero, at least to non-Spurs fans for the longest time, has been Son, right?
definitely.
He is an elite player, like elite. And I'm British, right? So we don't really get excited about a lot of stuff, especially about Spurs players. But you cannot fault the guy. His passion, his skill, his vision. He is an elite footballer, and he, in my opinion, is the reason that Spurs are absolutely killing it so far.
yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. I do think that, but I think I've always said this since the beginning. I think the biggest game changer for Spurs was Madison. Dude, they've always had the strike. Like they've had Harry Kane, they've had Heung-min Son, but they've never had this in the midfield. In my opinion, it's just a guy that can make the elite play to get the ball to those guys, or just make the elite play himself.
Mm,
You know, like I feel like Tottenham's never had that. And last season with Conte, I thought it was like a reality check. Like honestly, like if you were a footballer in that club, you looked in the mirror after that speech, and you were like, dude, like, am I here to just play football and get paid,
yeah,
or are we here to win?
yeah.
and I personally don't think that Tottenham has the quality to win it. But I do think that they are on their way to getting up there. I think they're just a few pieces away. I really do. I don't, sometimes I watch the games, like I watched the game today. The few things I saw, like they're missing. I don't think Richarlison starting these games, playing a lot of these games is going to do well for them. He hasn't done well. He's been probably their worst player for the season. But I think, someone comes in and takes that place and is able to do, something different. I think they can. I think they're missing a winger. They've had excellent defending this year. Christian Romero. Ivan's been hating on him, but
Well,
Chuch has been
good
hating
man.
on
You
him.
should. You
Yeah,
should. And
he
I'm
has some
only being
stinkers.
nice because people are going to see this, and so I'm like, But yeah, you're right. Spurs are missing a couple of pieces, but honestly, I think the best thing that you could give them is not make them play over Christmas and New Year, because that's when they always suck and always throw it away.
That's when start bodily.
So yeah, you can get them 10 new signings, but if they all still have to play over Christmas and New Year, they're still going to tank.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is funny though. That I like to hear, banter like that. You guys hate Tottenham.
Yeah, we have a
That's
whole
funny.
song that is literally "We Hate Tottenham, We Hate Tottenham," and it's the
Yeah.
best song. I don't know why it hasn't won a Grammy, honestly.
That's funny. Let's see. Let's go into the next game. We got Villa West Ham.
that
Villa
was good.
absolutely dominated. Absolutely dominated the scoreline. It was a good game. I thought it was a good game for sure. West Ham, they've got quality players. It's just I don't know what it is. I don't like I said at the beginning of the podcast. I think maybe the second or third episode in that West Ham they're good, but they're just not good enough to finish in that top 5. It's like they play really good against the shit teams, but against these top teams, it's like they're poor. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's, Lucas Paqueta looks insane week in, week out. Somehow just never, he doesn't assist or score those goals just because they don't have it. The finishing, I don't think, in the final third. And then Villa, I've always said, I told you, Ivan, I've been telling you to watch out for them. Them on the counter, insane. Diaby always finds a way to make the right pass. And Ollie Watkins, I liked Ollie Watkins before, but this season is just I think he's doing excellent.
I have a bit of a soft spot for Villa because growing up, one of my best mates was a Villa fan. So, and it was only a little over an hour and something train ride to go up to Birmingham to Villa Park to watch games. So, I would go to a couple of Villa games a season, a couple of times. Snuck in the away end at the home end, the Chelsea games, and pretended I was a Villa fan. You got to be real quiet. But yeah. So I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Villa, and of course, being a Chelsea fan, hate West Ham. So this was an easy smile on my face this weekend. But talking about teams that are in good form, much like Newcastle, Villa have now won 4 and drawn 1 of the last 5 in the league. To your point, Gabe, they are playing really good football. And they're starting to put it together, and it's I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't a penalty. Edson Alvarez was robbed. It was a little soft. It was very 50-50.
Yeah, I think 50-50 is right. Like, you've seen them given, you've seen them not.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing about any decision in football, especially a penalty. No one's ever going to be happy about it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
at least half the people are going to be unhappy about the decision.
That's 100% true.
And on a quick side note, one of the things I love about this game is if we get that penalty called for our team, we're like, yeah. But if the situation reversed, we're like, no, you need spectacles, ref. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's like the complete wrong decision. Like, we're just so fickle, but, that's what loving a team's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the next one. We only got 2 more. We got Bournemouth and Wolves. Wolves came away with the win. Bournemouth's been, bottom 3. They're probably going to get relegated. Wolves, surprisingly, none of my guys showed up. I'm surprised. I've been talking about Huang Hee-chan. Excuse me, I got something stuck. And Pedro Neto. I've been talking about them for the past few weeks. Love them. I think they're going to go to big clubs. They're all basically Wolves has had for the past few weeks, contributing basically everything they have. But it's good to see them get a win away too. And then those kits are pretty nice too. Those all whites. I
Yeah,
like those actually.
the like deep gold and black. It's pretty
Yeah.
good look.
Yeah.
I didn't see that game. I'm also going to be very British here and just correct your pronunciation of Bournemouth. So it's not pronounced like mouth; it's like Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
Perfect, nailed it. There you go.
All right, there
I
you
hope you
go.
don't mind me correcting you there, but I got to stand up for my clubs, you know.
No, that is really good actually. And to be fair, before you came on, I didn't know you were British, and
There you go.
it was
See,
a pleasant surprise.
I don't announce
Pleasant
it.
surprise.
People then hear me and they're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, pleasant surprise for sure. Actually, because we love the accents. We love them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Can I get that in writing? My mum will love it.
That's funny. No, anytime, because me and Ivan, we work together. So, like, anytime we get a customer that's British, like, bunch of questions.
Immediate first act is, who's your club? Who's your club?
Yeah, who's your club's first question?
Nice.
Some of them, some of them have a club. Some of them, prefer rugby. There's I think like 3 of the 5 that I've probably encountered said they prefer rugby. But that's actually pretty, I've never heard that since talking to them. But
I mean, rugby's a great sport too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And we'll move on to Liverpool-Everton. That's our last one. 2-0. Definitely, what we expected.
Super one-sided. I still don't know how Everton's in the Premier League. I hate Everton so much. I'm sorry.
Well, technically, they're still facing the lawsuit, right? That they, I guess, cheated is the allegation. It's not. They're not, I guess, suing them for cheating. It's just for their loopholes out of financial fair play is what technically it is. Leicester's suing them along with I think 2 others. I can't remember who it was, but there's still chances. There's still a chance that they actually face some point reductions and stuff. So chances are they may go down. Even though they've been winning a couple. But yeah, I mean, it's been already like a year since that's been going on, so I don't even really know when that's going to be resolved.
Yeah, and I think it happened last year with Juventus. They got a point reduction, completely took them out of the Champions League. So we could see it.
Juventus should really have learned their lesson by now, shouldn't they? When they're like relegated two divisions like a few years ago,
you thought
they're like, "Oh, we've done it before. No one's going to check again."
They do it again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Never return to the scene of the crime, lads. Like, come on, Juve.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll see what happens with Everton. I don't think there's so much money in it. Like Mike pointed out earlier. It may not come to anything, people just may turn a blind eye or whatnot, but I do think that Leicester will come back up, I think, and all things will be balanced. Everton's got that new stadium coming next year too. It'll be kind of a shame to see them in the championship with the new stadium and all, but I mean, I can't wait to see the new stadium. I've been watching some clips on YouTube. There's a guy that goes around and throws like a drone up and then circles stadiums like that are being built. And he's been putting one up like every week. I guess he lives near that one, I think, and it looks pretty cool actually.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to email you that link, Mike, because it is pretty interesting to see how they're building it.
You said that's Everton Stadium?
Everton's getting a new stadium, yeah.
Okay, cool. So it'll be the best stadium in League One once they get kicked out for cheating. All right, cool. Good luck paying for that one, lads. All right.
Yeah.
You can sell Pickford. Pickford.
They're going to have to sell everything. They'll be selling the silverware in the canteen because they don't have any in the trophy cabinets.
I love it. I love it. That's hilarious. Let's see. So our next thing, we like to talk about any standouts that we had, like any superstars from any of those games. I chose, Golden Boy earlier, Star Boy, Cole Palmer. The other person I thought, did fairly well that I personally, I just like seeing him play every week. It's just sometimes you like I've always said, when you see good football, you love to see it. It's always my guy every week, Phil Foden. I just like he does everything right without trying to do too much. That's what I think it always is. I see that from a few players. Like I've seen it from Cole Palmer, Connor Gallagher lately too. Been fantastic. That dude, he faced a lot of criticism in the beginning. He really did, even from Ivan, even from Chelsea fans. But
We'll admit.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will admit.
he's got those iron lungs now. Reminds me of Conte with dudes all over the field. Never looks tired. He's been playing well for England. He's been getting picked by England. He's really coming up as a star. And I told Ivan, this may not have any relevance realistically, but I play FIFA, and in the career mode, Connor Gallagher always ends up being one of the best midfielders in the world. Like he always, like his rating is always up there. Like when you simulate a few years, he's always in like the 90s, and I'm like, dude, Connor Gallagher's gonna be good.
Well,
and
that explains it clearly.
Yeah, that
Mystery
explains
solved.
Yeah.
Pundits around the world finally have the answer to Conor Gallagher's resurgence.
Yeah. No, that's
Gabe's playing FIFA.
Yeah.
No,
He's
definitely. To add on what Gabe was saying, I honestly thought he wasn't going to make it to the where he is now. I thought he was going to get sold, honestly, just to kind of recoup funds because for the amount we spent. There was links to Newcastle. If he was at Newcastle, they'd probably be top of the league. He has been insane. Kind of how Gabe said, Conte regen. He's playing everywhere. He does not look tired. That trio of Gallagher, Enzo, and Caicedo. Caicedo still looks a little shaky sometimes, but he's starting to grow into the team. And Enzo, every week I talk about how good Enzo is because he is so good on the ball. You saw him absolutely put Declan Rice on skates, and before we started the podcast, I was on Xbox's game, and I told him Declan Rice did not have a good game. He said he had a good game. I thought he was abysmal. He had the goal, but other than that, he was getting dribbled past. He didn't look very good. I thought Enzo completely dominated him.
So I'm gonna go partway between the two of you's opinions on this. And again, this is the next part where I hate myself for saying this because complimenting Arsenal is almost as bad as complimenting Spurs. But I thought, given how poorly the rest of his team played, I thought that actually Declan Rice was by far Arsenal's shining light. And yes, in the position one-on-one against Enzo, of course, dominated him because Enzo. The next Chelsea jersey I buy, I'm pretty sure.
Me too. That's I already said.
And I'm like, I don't put names on my jerseys. Super Frank and Gianfranco Zola are the only two players I've ever had on my jerseys. Enzo might be ready. We'll see. But yeah, I think Declan Rice was, aside from our own mistakes, Declan Rice was probably the biggest reason that Arsenal got themselves back into a position to get something out of the game, especially the goal, obviously. But yeah, I thought he played pretty well. I think it just skewed because we dominated them so much across the entire pitch. But I'll give kudos where it's due and wish that we had bought him instead because clearly we had the money.
And you had him before. It's just Chelsea Academy. I don't know what it is.
We gave him away.
Yeah, among others. I always tell Ivan. I'm like, oh yeah, what'd you guys sell him for? Like a couple 100,000, maybe a couple 100,000 pesos.
I mean, sure. Peanuts. Basically, they were like, "Oh, here's what's down the back of our couch. You can have that." And we were like, "Oh, goody."
You can have Musiala.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on from bad transfers. We have a history of doing that. So
let's not.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go into the January signings. Who our favorites are. Some rumors we've been hearing. Maybe A lot of Liverpool rumors about players from other leagues, especially Bayern. Musiala and Leroy Sané seem to be their targets. Personally, as a City fan, if Leroy Sané goes anywhere in the Premier League, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. I love Leroy Sané, but I don't know. I don't even know if I'll be able to utter his name if he goes somewhere else.
Oh, bold. That's a bold statement right there. What are we going to do if he does? We can't talk about him on the podcast ever.
No, we
What we'll
can't.
do is we'll just, every time you want to say his name, you just give us a wink and we'll bleep, and that'll be him for you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, he was just so good for City. It's like it'd be heartbreaking to see him play somewhere else.
Yeah, I feel that.
And then Musiala. I love Musiala too. Ivan knows I talk about. Bayern is a really good squad. I think they have a lot of good players, and Musiala's been at his age one of the better ones. Him going anywhere is going to make the team better, and I think Liverpool have a good midfield right now. I think they really do have an excellent midfield. I've said it in the past, and I think Musiala could cap it off and make him one of the best midfields in the league.
Yeah, definitely some good players. And, Liverpool, again, we talked earlier about massive clubs like Liverpool, undeniably. Of course, Ivan, as you know, Chelsea and Liverpool have a long and storied history. We don't like each other.
No, not one bit.
But, they're Liverpool. They're a huge club, and they're going to attract huge players. And this is how I know that I'm becoming more mature, because I can recognise that giant Premier League rivals are actually good teams instead of just, pooping all over them with every word. So, yeah, they could definitely attract big players. And it can only be good for the Premier League. The more players we get coming in of that kind of talent.
Absolutely.
I think one of the players that everyone's talking about, Ivan Toney. I definitely think he's going to stay in the Premier League. The one team maybe is I think he should join is Spurs, and I hate Spurs just because Richarlison has not been him. That way Son can go back to the wing. Because if you saw the game, Richarlison was playing more left wing, and Son was in the center. Definitely, I think Kim Son is best at the wing, and he just needs a striker.
Absolutely. I can't see that. I think that'd be disgusting. I think
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I think Tony should go to Arsenal. I think that's their final piece. I really do think so. I mean, I don't want to see it, but I think that's where he should go if he wants to win, and if Arsenal want to win. I've also seen the rumors of Ollie Watkins to Arsenal. I don't think that's as probably as well as a fit as maybe Tony would be. But I think Ollie Watkins is a baller, like I've said earlier. He's really good. I don't think Villa would let one of their top guys go right now, especially they're competing
Definitely
for a
not.
Champions League spot. Yeah, I don't think they'd let someone go unless they got a fat amount to buy someone else, maybe.
Well, Brighton got us for 115 million for Moses. So people are just pulling numbers out of everywhere these days. It's crazy.
Just a blank check at this point. Just tell us what you want.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite funny, yeah. But yeah, I mean that's the signing that needs to happen if they want to win. I think definitely Arsenal to sign Tony, or just a striker in general, even Ollie Watkins if they could somehow get him. I don't think they can. And then the next that'd be the next step for Arsenal, because I really do think they're missing a striker. Gabriel Jesus, he's good. I love Gabriel Jesus, but he's not the striker for their system.
Well, as a Chelsea fan, I'm more than happy for them to be without a striker. Keep going, Arsenal.
Yeah. Let's go. We'll move on to review the table. We do this every time. Tottenham sit up top with their win. City next at 2. Arsenal at 3. Liverpool 4 and Villa 5. Newcastle and Brighton trailing. Also United trailing. And Chelsea's in the mix too.
We're in the
Chelsea's
top
Yeah,
coming.
half. We're in the
top
top
half.
half.
Come on, come
Hey,
on, the Blues.
take off that zero. We're in first.
There we go.
Take out the 0. No, they've done. I mean, the goal differential is substantial between them and Palace. You know, with the quality that Chelsea's been playing with right now, I could definitely see them overtaking, West Ham and United. Once you get to that Brighton spot, though, that's where it gets tough. I don't know if Chelsea could do it, but I think I don't even think I put Chelsea for sure in the top 10 in my prediction at the beginning of the season.
Oh, how
But
generous, thank you. Top 10. Great.
but I could see them. I could see them getting close to that 5-6 spot. I could see it.
Yeah, I think if we continue improving and we can tighten up those mistakes over November, then hopefully we can ride that momentum over the holidays and really start pushing in the new year. But we'll see. It's a long season.
Do either of you think to this point that you would have a chance at the top 5?
Yes.
Yes, I'm conceded.
Hey, it's just confident. Just confidence.
Yeah.
With the squad and the coach that we now have, yes, I firmly believe that we can finish top 5.
That's good. Yeah, I believe so
I
too.
agree.
I just,
I think it's just different. The team is definitely buying into Pochettino. I feel like the Graham Potter. I honestly thought Graham Potter was going to be good for us, but when I would see, the video, the training videos, it's not. If you compare last year's to this year's, it's a completely different vibe. Every time, like, you see smiles on the Chelsea players' faces, like they're happy to be there. Like that's what you want to see. Like, they are there to win. They believe in the system. They believe in Pochettino, and so do I.
Yeah, I am just still. Don't want to say shocked, but I'm still flabbergasted, as we say back home, that they sacked Tuchel. Like, you've got an
that's
absolutely
your boy.
elite coach who was
Definitely.
like I don't even have the words. Like, what are you doing? It's Thomas Tuchel. Are you
That
kidding
was
me?
him. Like, he thought you would have thought, talking to Ivan on the day of that happening, you would have thought like somebody died. He was like,
Somebody did die. The heart and soul of Chelsea Football Club died because these new owners came in and made the worst possible decision off the bat.
Yeah,
I feel your pain,
stupid.
Ivan, man.
I remember, because I talked about it in a previous episode, one of the first ones. I went to sleep early that night. Gabe and one of our buddies were up, and they were spamming tweets like at 2-3 in the morning.
Oh, man.
And I wake up like at 6 to use the restroom. I went on my phone and I see all these reports. Thomas Tuchel sacked, and it was.
That's the worst.
It felt like a heartbreak.
Oh, do you need a tissue, bud? Anyone got a Kleenex?
Definitely,
Kleenex?
it was heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, man. Like, just But here we are now. Thank goodness we've got a good coach back at the bridge.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right, let's move on before Ivan actually cries. Let's go.
We're gonna let's see. So Golden Boot tracker, you still got Erling Haaland up there. Heung-min Son trails right behind. Assist leader, you got. I just lost it for a second. I'm pretty sure it's
Pedro Neto.
No, it's either Mo Salah or James Madison, I believe. I don't know why I just lost it. Anyway, oh yeah, it is Pedro Neto still, with Carrion Trippier, James Madison following Ollie Watkins. But I think Pedro Neto didn't do anything this week. No assists this week, I believe. Trippier's been excellent. James Madison, like I said, has been stellar. Let's definitely get into our Champions League matches. Let's go.
I think the big one is Wednesday's game, PSG Milan.
PSG.
Yeah,
Milan's been
because
struggling to score.
yeah, I mean, I'm surprised at Milan. Right, they're bottom of the group right now. They were held at home by Newcastle, which I think was a great result for Newcastle going to the San Siro, one of the most uh, daunting stadiums in club football, I would say. Having been there to see a couple of games myself, the atmosphere is electric and not pleasant for away teams. So, and the fact that they really improved their squad this season with Pulisic and a couple of other folks, it's a surprise to see them struggling as they are in the Champions League. But the fact that PSG got absolutely schooled by Newcastle last game will give them some hope and inspiration. And it'll be a great game against two of European football's biggest clubs. So I think that's a great pick for game of the week.
Absolutely. Um, that's probably the one I was going to go with as well. I mean, everything else is kind of one-sided right now, besides Newcastle, Dortmund. But even then, I think PSG and Milan might be a better one. I am going to pick Newcastle though over Dortmund just because Dortmund's been so poor as of late. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah. I mean, also the thing about Newcastle, right, is again, and I think I've probably said Newcastle more than I've said any other word in this episode, but like again, their first Champions League appearance in 10 seasons. They go to Milan, keep a clean sheet, get a point, and then they thump PSG 4-1 at home. And I don't know if you saw any of the clips from that game that were talking about the atmosphere inside the stadium. Just the Toon Army really they're like having a 12th man on the field. They really are. So if you're Dortmund and you're playing terribly, which they are, and you have to go to Newcastle, which I'm sure nobody from Dortmund has ever been to Newcastle in their life, right? Like you got to go there on a. Are they playing tomorrow or Wednesday? I don't know.
Wednesday.
Wednesday. So you got to go there on a Wednesday night in front of 60,000 shirtless Newcastle lads yelling the whole game. It's going to be rough, I tell you. It's going to be rough.
yeah.
I don't envy their flight home. They're going to be a bunch of miserable fellas on that flight.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I think I've seen the clips that you're referring to. Like every time the ball went out of bounds, they were freaking calling for the fans to go crazy, and they were. And even I don't know if you saw the clip of the young boy. They were asking him who was gonna win. He was like, "Newcastle's gonna win. They're gonna have Mbappe on legs." And then he's like, and then I think he said, I don't know if
He
he
predicted a
the score or
Dan
not.
Burn goal.
Oh yeah, he did predict a Dan Burn goal, and then he did score. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, that's definitely the game. That's one of the good games this week. Everything else is a bit one-sided besides those lower end ones. I think Bayern.
The one
Oh, go ahead.
I am interested in is Arsenal Sevilla
Okay.
because it's kind of that's definitely tomorrow, and it's kind of a shortish turnaround. Like they played an intense away London derby at Chelsea, and then they got to completely switch around and prepare for a completely different team, and then fly to Spain and play a Tuesday night Champions League game. And to your earlier point, Gabe, about not really having a clinical striker, it'll be interesting to see how dominated they were by Chelsea. It'd be interesting to see how they play, even though Sevilla is struggling a little bit also. Just I don't know, maybe a little bit of a dark horse to keep an eye on in terms of this week's games.
Yeah, absolutely. What were you thinking, Ivan?
um, just going back to the to Sevilla and Arsenal's group, Lens against PSV. If Lens gets away with another win, they're going to be at 7 points. Somewhat comfortable, and definitely going to have to make Arsenal, you know, give it their all. Especially, I always joke around saying Sevilla's the Europa League god because they're always
I
there. So I
mean,
think they I
you've
think they
got a
might just
point.
I think they might just lose on purpose so they could go back and win it again.
They're like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Exactly, because they're gonna win it again.
Yeah, that is quite funny, but
Yeah, but that group is definitely starting to get more interesting because Lens is at 4 points, Arsenal at three, Sevilla at two, and PSV at one. So it's still very close.
yeah, I think one of mine that I really thought would be a lot better too, or I think is going to be a really good game, is Feyenoord versus Lazio. Feyenoord's been playing well. Uh, they struggled in league play a bit 2 games ago. I didn't think, I kind of watched them just because they've been playing well. I've been seeing them in the Champions League, uh, but I think that they're kind of a dark horse in this year's. I think they can make it quite a bit further. I don't think obviously they'll win or get into the final four or anything like that, but I think they're definitely good enough to bounce a team or two.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Santi
that.
Jimenez. Santi Jimenez. I'm telling you, this is his chance to prove that he is the next striker to be sold for £100 million or whatever. Um, I super biased as well, but like I keep mentioning it, that last stretch of games last season, he ended up tying for the Golden Boot, and he was not a starter. He was constantly being subbed off, but he needs to prove that he should be started. I know he was suspended, but I think this is the game back. I think this is his game back. He'll be able to prove it against Lazio.
Well, you know how to find out whether he's going to be any good. Just make sure that Gabe checks him out in career mode on FIFA, and if he's good there, then clearly he's going to be good in real life.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely. No, that is funny. I'm looking forward. I hope Matthias Tell gets a start this game. Leroy Sané's been playing quite a lot, especially with the international break and everything going on. He played both games for Germany that they had. He's been playing every single minute, it seems like. But Matthias Tell, he's the next big star. He's my star to watch for this weekend. I hope he gets the start. If he doesn't, unfortunate, he always usually gets subbed on around the 70th minute or so, if not. And then also Jude Bellingham, I'm gonna be watching. Dude's just unreal,
Definitely.
Yeah, electric.
unreal right now. Yeah,
Yeah, for
man.
me, I'm going to go back to Milan, and just to correct something I said earlier, they're not bottom of the group; they're third in the group. But even so, Christian Pulisic, obviously, as a former Chelsea player, who, as you know, Ivan, we were super excited to get, and he just was
Definitely.
it just never worked out for him. Injury, being played out of position, the absolute turmoil with 74 managers in 3 seasons or whatever it is they've gone through. So it's an absolute joy to see him back, happy and playing his football, and you can tell from the performances he's putting in on the field at club level, that's translating to national team level.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's really great to see a player who's pretty much in his prime of his career, or very quickly approaching that, is now in an environment where he's being given the ability to thrive, and his talents are being utilized in the way they should be. So I'm going to keep an eye on him this week, just because I'm rooting for the guy.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there was no bad blood with him leaving. It was just it didn't work out.
Yeah,
Um, obviously, a lot of Americans started watching Chelsea because of him solely.
yeah,
We got a whole new fan base, and they're definitely pushing the PL in America a
yeah,
lot, and I'm grateful for that. Especially seeing my club get the attention it deserves, even more here. They're constantly on ESPN about them, and then yeah, like I said, there was no bad blood. Just transfer that didn't work out, and I wish the best for him.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something I think is very special with football fans is, yes, we can be very fickle, and yes, we demand a lot from our club and from our players. But when you see how loyal a player's been and how much they've put into a club and generally tried to give their all to be there and
Mm-hmm.
stay there, if they end up having to make the decision to go somewhere else, you feel that they gave what they could. And so you say thank you, and you always have that respect no matter what. And I really love that we can appreciate that about players as fans, even when they move on to other clubs.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I remember FA Cup game against, I think it was the final against Arsenal. He didn't he tear his hamstring trying to take that shot, and and he kept going after he felt it. Like that's the type of passion he had for the game. You know, Everyone else would have just fell, but he still tried to go for goal.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. I mean,
Exactly.
of course he kept going. He's Captain America, you know?
That's funny. Uh, no, I think I heard a thing. I heard something Thierry Henry said. Um, he said that he felt a lot, as Pulisic at Chelsea, that he wasn't allowed to make mistakes. When he did, it was, kind of back to the bench for you. He was injured a lot, but he did have a few chances. I mean, he had a few chances, and it's not like he played well, but I mean, how can you expect someone who's always on the bench, to
Yeah,
play well right off the bat? You got to
yeah,
give them a good run of games to get their feet under them. I mean, that goes for any player to me.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's good to see him, showing out right now. It's good to see freaking Italian football enjoying him as much. I don't know if you saw the clip by chance, but when he scored the goal to give him the lead in the last week's game, uh, all the commentators were going insane, calling him Captain America or
nice,
Polisi, Polisi. They were like
nice.
Polisi, 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 and then. But yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see others embrace him, as much as us Americans have,
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. And then it's good to see you as well. I mean, Mike, being British, living in America now, that you like him as well.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. I mean,
fantastic.
yeah, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a football fan. It's a beautiful game, and no matter where you're from, if you're passionate and you give your all for your club, then I got a lot of respect for that. But yes, also as my adopted home, definitely have a soft spot for American players in the Premier League. And speaking of which, side note, what's the chap who plays for Fulham, the defender?
Tim Ream.
Yeah, dude, I tell you, hella respect for him too. Even though I forgot his name, it's been a long day. But like he, like it's really good to see Americans come to the Premier League, especially given how a slow burn it's taken for soccer to become big here.
Mhm.
And so to have big players come from here to the Premier League, love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got a few guys out there right now: Tyler Adams, Matt Turner, Tim Ream. Yeah, Christian Pulisic, but
I
Gio
think
Reyna.
Anthony Robinson right now playing as well in Prem.
And Gio Reyna, he's not in the Prem. He's playing in Dortmund, but he's been huge. I mean, for the U.S., you saw. I don't know if you followed up with it, but the drama they had between him and the coach.
Oh, did I ever
Um,
see that? Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
You usually have to be living under a rock to not hear about that one,
yeah,
but no. I mean, he came in. He scored 2 goals. He's been playing well, even for a club. I think he's kind of a dark horse for American football.
yeah.
Um,
I think it was ESPN last week was saying that he might be in the running to get called up again, just based on his performances. So,
yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
good because as a player, especially a young player, especially the pressures of having your dad be a US soccer legend, right? Like for him to have been able to put all that noise and distraction behind him and just focus on playing his game and getting to the level where he is again being considered for national team selection, you got to give him credit. Yeah, you do. So I'm happy for him.
Absolutely. Um, let's see. Player to watch. We already went over that, but I'd like to throw a few shout outs to the people leading the Golden Boot race for Champions League. Julian Alvarez been playing stellar. You gotta think he starts in the Champions League game. I mean, he's always been starting so far. Hoyland is surprising up there. He's also in the race, tied for first. Hasn't been playing too well for the league, obviously. Man United haven't been playing well in general, but he's managed to find his way up there with 3 goals. And then Jude Bellingham, of course,
Oh yeah.
the midfielder. Somehow in the race still. There's about 20 players, in the race for third
Yeah.
with 2 goals, but still, he's definitely notable.
Let's see if they can keep it up. A lot of games to go. A lot of season to go, both for Champions League and obviously respective leagues. So really, I always like to look again after the holiday break and see, hey, what squad's looking like, how are teams playing then? Like, do they have the longitude to keep up with their schedules, and are the players that are performing now continuing to perform? Because that can really be the difference maker between a strong start and a strong finish versus limping to the finish line like Spurs usually do. So
Yeah,
You are
yeah,
not wrong. You are not wrong.
yeah. We brought that point up. Yeah, you brought that point up earlier,
yeah,
and I think some of these guys, that'll be the case where they're not going to be playing well throughout the entirety of the season or the competition. But I mean, there's a few guys like Jude Bellingham. I think I think just as good as he's been, I can't see him slowing down.
yeah,
Maybe players like Hoyland and Alvarez. I mean, Alvarez has been excellent lately, but it's not characteristic for him to be, just balling out as much as he's been. He is still young, so this could be the beginning of it. It's just I do expect it to end at some point. I just hope that he stays up there. I hope that he proves his point because he's kind of in Holland's shadow. I mean, he
yeah,
has been, especially freaking. You come in a youngster like Holland, first year in the Premier League, break the record. I mean, unreal.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, Julian Alvarez won the World Cup. He's won every trophy you can imagine in the past 6 months.
yeah,
It's like every other Sunday, dude was lifting a trophy.
yeah,
But, but I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, if he were playing for any other club, you'd think, he's the biggest piece there is. He'd probably be selling for £150 million if he weren't playing for Man City already.
yeah. I agree with all of that. And also, it's crazy to me. I'm old enough at this point to remember when Newcastle bought Alan Shearer, one of the best strikers in Premier League history, for 15 million. So to think now we're talking about 10 times that as just regular
It's
transfer
insane.
fees is insane. It's crazy to
Exactly.
me. But hey ho, I'm just jealous because I don't have 150 million to spend on anything.
On anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's all of us.
Hey, let's all chip in and maybe we'll have $150. We can go for a pint.
Yeah, I mean, just hand out. We'll take £1,000,000.
Yeah,
We'll
perfect.
share it. We'll
Yeah.
share it between the three of us. I
Done.
mean, that'll be enough. No, yeah, absolutely. Man, it's gonna be exciting. I mean, like I said last week, the coming weeks of Premier League, the coming weeks of everything football related, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
Once we get into late November, early December, I mean, Boxing Day is. That's like, I don't know. It's like looking forward to Christmas morning. I mean, like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it
literally.
really is.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm so excited. It's gonna be a tough stretch. Obviously, so many games. So little time. But I'm excited. This is probably the most I've ever been invested in football. I've always watched. Games that were on TV,
hmm
but to this point, this year, doing the podcast and everything, 110% I'm given. I wake up early for the games, even if I don't want to. Like, I stay up for the games. I
Nice.
don't wake up just for 10, 15 minutes and then fall asleep.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've got to
That's
get up.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It
happened like the
happens once in a
first
while.
week. The first week that we did the podcast, I woke up. I think it was like, I don't remember. It wasn't a very good game, but it was on TV and it was on a Sunday, and I fell asleep after like 30 minutes of play, and I woke up in the 89th minute and the scoreline. I was like, oh, okay, well, I missed that entire game, but I just watched it back on Peacock. But no, it's absolutely. I'm committed now. This is the best. I'm definitely looking forward to Boxing Day the most, for sure. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it's different. This year's different for me personally in every aspect. I've had the opportunity to watch games as much as I can, and then doing this podcast, I never would have met Mike. Mike's been fantastic. I
Yes,
want to
sir.
super thank Mike for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's thanks for having me.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And don't mean to cut you off, but I appreciate the love.
yeah, absolutely. This is what, like I said, we've been striving for. I mean, I've wanted to get, like I said, regular. I just want to get regular guys, regular people, regular even women. I mean, if women, I very few met a woman that loves soccer, but I've
Yeah,
seen a few of them out there.
there are a
Um,
few. There are a few. But yes, there is definitely a few and far between.
yeah, absolutely. I want to get as much people as we can on the show.
That one citizen, that one lady that we sold the car to.
Oh yeah, yeah. We happened to sell a lady a car, and she loved Man City, and she knew everything. I was like, oh man, like that's so rare to find a woman that knows so much about football and passionate about it. And hopefully one day we can have her on the show. Hopefully,
That'd be
we'll
cool.
try to find her. Yeah, we'll try to find her.
I tell you what I can do. So I got a friend, Brenda. She's also British, and we used to live in Atlanta and go and watch. We used to show up at the same Chelsea games and stuff. And I'm still part of an
Oh,
Atlanta Chelsea fan club group. I don't know if she's
nice.
in Atlanta anymore, but she is like Chelsea through and through, and she arranges like trips to go over. She runs. She's super involved with like the Chelsea Supporters Club of America. So if you want, I can reach out to her and ask if she'd be interested in coming on the podcast.
Absolutely,
Definitely,
absolutely.
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, she goes on the tours and she gets there early and she got photos with players and
damn.
yeah, so she's a huge Chelsea fan and so yeah, I'll be happy to reach out and see if she wants to come and banter for a bit.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think I got a couple questions for you, just being a guest.
Sure.
Just curiosity. Um, how old are you by chance?
I'm actually turning 41 on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Or
Happy
happy early birthday.
birthday! Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thanks.
yeah,
Appreciate
for
it.
sure.
Yeah. Thankfully, this didn't give me too many more grey hairs chatting to you guys, so I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. What? So you lived obviously in London, um, or in England. Did you? How did it become Chelsea? Like of all the
Yeah.
teams
Great question.
everywhere.
Yeah, great question. So it's my earliest memory of seeing a game on TV was a Chelsea game. Um, this was like before the advent of like satellite and cable TV, like everywhere. Like so, pretty much right when the Premier League started in the early '90s. Um, so I'd have been, I don't know, 10 or 11, I think, when I saw my first like proper football game on TV, and I remember it being a Chelsea game, and I just started following them and being from London team, and yeah, it's Chelsea. I don't know how else to explain it. Like when you know, you know. Ivan
Yeah,
knows. He's nodding and smiling. I see it.
Yes,
You
sir.
just know. You
Yeah.
know. Once you fly that blue flag, you've got to keep it flying high.
Keep the
You
blue
know.
flag flying high.
That's it. Come on, you
uh,
Blues.
that's awesome.
Yeah. My first real live game, however, was Derby County against Leicester City. As a teenager, we had a friend who was a big Derby fan, and he took a couple of us, me and a couple of my mates, to the occasional Derby County game. So that was always really fun. And just as I said, I used to go up to Villa Park from time to time, and yeah, and obviously the bridge, absolutely electric. Had the pleasure of seeing Chelsea against Barcelona when
Oh.
Ronaldinho scored that, like just a little outside of the boot
Wow.
goal. I was sitting
Oh my
6 rows
God.
back behind the goal for that game. Just
Dang.
incredible. So yeah, I've been super fortunate to have grown up in a world of incredible football, and
Yeah,
I'm happy that you guys put this together and we can keep the love going in such a fashion.
yeah, absolutely. Personally, none of us have ever been to the UK. I hope to go. I've been wanting to go. I was trying to push for this December, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. December is my birthday, so that'd be like a birthday trip. I'd
Okay.
want to go for like a week, maybe two. But I've definitely been wanting to go. Um, it's just, and I'm also afraid of flying. I've been fighting that inner demon
Oh,
like for a year already, and I do think that I'm like ready to fly. It's just now it's the point like I just need to do it. But yeah, I'm absolutely ready. I mean, you've been living here in America for quite a while.
yeah.
Um, Seeing culture, like the way I see football culture in the UK, to me doesn't compare to like how the Americans love American football. How would you compare the two? American football versus football in the UK, like the fan bases, the cultures.
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I love football too. I'm an LA Rams fan. Um, and all right. Um, and I actually used to officiate for the British University League back in the UK. I was a line judge, so I've always loved both sides of football.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the culture's so different. For a start, there's no away end, right? Like
Yeah.
you
No,
can't do that. You can't do that in European football. Like you cannot mingle fans. It's just a disaster.
Yeah.
Um, so the fact that everyone can go to a game, and of course, yeah, there's a bit of bit of back and forth chatting between fans, but generally it's like you can co-mingle with fans and it's cool. Um, Everything is also like more of a production here. Everything is huge on entertainment value, um, and kind of the big spectacle. Uh, and whereas for me, it's the fans that create the spectacle and the atmosphere that is what you're there for with European football. Um, so I would say that there are definitely differences, but the similarities I like to focus on is no matter the sport, we're all there united to watch a bunch of really talented people do their thing. And if it's something that we enjoy and we're passionate about, then great. It's just going to make the world a better place at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, that's quite funny that you said how about the no away end. You always see the fights like in American football. I mean, I've seen some clips, but it happens every weekend in with American football. I mean, living in London, I mean, have you seen? Is it like that as well? Like, I'm sure you've seen the movie Green Street Hooligans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ivan's never seen it, but I mean, is it really like that? Is it really like that?
I'm not a snitch, so I'm going to plead the fifth.
I
All
love
right,
it.
all
I
right.
love
Well,
the
that tells us all we need to know, anyways.
yeah.
What I will say though is that like generally speaking, yes, and there are multiple documentaries and about it and stuff, but especially English football has had a history of hooliganism, especially in the 80s. Um, most teams have had what you call a firm, which is basically a group of hardcore supporters whose main goal is not to actually watch the game, but to try and beat the pulp out of the opposing fans. And there's no need for it in the game, right? Like I know that passions are high, but there are some people who perhaps use it as an excuse to add some additional excitement into it. And yeah, I just think we need to focus more on the game and less on what's happening outside the ground and in the pubs. Just enjoy the sport, get behind your team, go home happy and not bleeding. Like it's not that
Exactly.
difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Perhaps start a podcast. I mean, that's why we
There you
did
go.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's why we did it. We were. It was just we were at the peak of our supporting football, and that's why we did it. But yeah, I mean, everything's been good. This episode was brilliant. I super again want to thank Mike for coming on. Um, I thought he did really well. I thought he did really well. I definitely want you on the show again.
Great.
Definitely.
I hope you could bring some friends next time. for
Oh, bold
sure.
of you to assume I've got friends.
or other
That,
supporters,
that's
other
true. Yeah.
supporters.
No, for sure. No, like honestly, fellas, this has been a lot of fun. I'll send you my rates for the next appearance. This one was a freebie, but no, I'm kidding. I don't charge, obviously. But yeah, no, this has been great. Thanks for having me. It's been super fun, and yeah, I'd love to come on again.
Yeah, absolutely. You're part of the Bay Area Blues. I didn't I saw them post, but I didn't happen to check how big the group was that went to the pub this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
So because I'm in the East Bay, and because most members of the SFA club are in San Francisco, the games are so early that I don't go and join and watch the games with that
okay.
crew a lot. But I like being part of the group so we can have some banter and back and forth, and I can find stuff like this to do to hang out with fellow football fans. Um, but yeah, I'm still part of the Atlanta group, as I said, part of this group, part of Chelsea in America. Like, it's just cool to stay connected to the club, even though I'm like 5,000 miles away or whatever it is. Math is hard,
Yeah,
but
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
That's what
because
I go ahead.
yeah, we have our own group here, the Central Valley Blues. I've been to a couple. Um, at first, when I would go, it was I kind of just didn't feel like I fit in, just because a lot of the guys were just older than me. I was just like 19, 20 years old. Couldn't even drink, and they were drinking like at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
But
That's
yeah, like
funny.
they're always a pleasure. Seeing the chance with those guys and
yeah.
girls. It's a hell of a thing, and that made me love it even more. Just the pure passion that
Hmm.
not just in the UK but here in America, it's
Yeah,
growing, and it's great to see.
yeah. No, with you 100%. And thanks for being a part of that, man. Like, it's great that you've embraced the sport that I love so much and are loving it just as much yourself. It's great.
The next thing that we kind of wanted to do was go to like one of these actual setups with like a Chelsea bar or the Man City bar and do like a live interview, or not necessarily a live interview, just an interview that we can record and post,
Sure.
on our Twitter or
Like a
Instagram.
halftime show, like during
Yeah, like a
halftime,
halftime show. Exactly, with supporters there in real time,
live
feeling the emotion.
reactions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That would be cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, that would be
Yes.
super awesome.
So
I
that's kind
know.
of the next thing we wanted to do, and I think it was coming up in November. I think it was either Tottenham or Liverpool game that I think we wanted to go to, a Chelsea one, or I think it was maybe Chelsea Man United in December. I don't know. It was one of the ones that are upcoming though. That's because we work together, so it's kind of hard for like us to both be there.
Sure.
But the bar that it's at is like right next to our work.
It's like right
So
across the street.
yeah,
Oh,
right across the
cool. All
street.
right.
So if we both go to an early game, one of us could still make it right there across the street in 5 minutes and make it work. But yeah, that's the next thing we want to try. We're hoping this guest appearance, it went really well, so I hope it brings more guests on and more people to see the show.
Me too. I hope it just doesn't put people off instead. Like, oof,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
this
like
guy. Oh God,
we're
can't stand him.
welcoming. We like to we like to chat shit here and there, but at the end of the day, we're talking about the beautiful game.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Again, fellas, this has been great. Absolute pleasure to meet you. Thanks again for having me on. And yeah, I'll definitely be popping up here and there to make celebrity appearances.
Yeah.
Now that I'm obviously a megastar
Yes,
of the
sir.
internet. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna conclude this week's episode. Thank everybody for listening. Thank you for coming on again, Mike. You're gonna be back. It's just a matter of
Yes.
when.
I
It's
sure
just a
will.
matter of when.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll be back, and hopefully Chelsea will be back soon enough too.
Yes.
Come on, you Blues!
Come on, you Blues.
come on,
Quick,
Luke.
before we go, I wanted to show the stadium that I didn't show last episode. My Stamford
Oh,
Bridge.
nice! Look at that.
Who
That's
knows how
Big
sweet.
long the
bus.
stadium will last?
Right? Yeah. That hotel's
Because
going to be
they're
gone next year, but yeah.
I need to go before the stadium is gone. I need to go.
I tell him every week. I'm like, dude, you need to go.
And then
You need to
Mourinho's
go see the
bus.
bridge.
Mourinho's bus is still alive.
Just parked in front of the goal. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's funny. No, yeah, absolutely. But like I said, thanks again. Follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter. We have a YouTube now. That's where this video is going. I'll be posting it in the links, and we will go from there. I super appreciate everyone. I appreciate Ivan, Chuch, appreciate Mike, and then anyone you bring on from now on, Mike. We'd love to have you. It's been great. Love everything you said is pretty knowledgeable. That's what I loved most about it. You actually watch the game. You're not just on here talking random stuff. That's I was. Can I say I'm personally a bit more surprised than I thought, just because I've talked to a couple guys here and there, and sometimes I feel like they really don't know too much about what they're saying. But I do feel like you backed everything up, and that's why we're here.
I appreciate it. I mean, the main reason why is I do enough stupid stuff in my life already. I don't want to come here and look completely stupid by not knowing what I'm talking about. So, yeah, no, I appreciate that. This is super fun. And, yeah, I'll be back before you know it.
All right, sounds good. Anything else to add, Ivan?
Yeah, I've been kicking it with Gavin Chuch.
Perfect. Catch
Thanks
you
for
guys
watching,
later.
everyone.
Thank you for watching. Thanks, Mike.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Later.